Hello, this is the voice of Jay Mitchell here from 4NOWX. No face cam this week. Wireless mic cut out on me, so we're going to do the best we can given the circumstances. Thankfully, I have graphics that I had rolled, so let's go to that. Almanac, seasonably cool for this time of the year. 83 on Thursday. The average is 87. We've made great progress in terms of trying to get back to normal in terms of our rainfall. We're only about 3.25 inches below where we should be. Here is the chart for the month by month. August so far is over 1 inch surplus. I believe it's like 1.26 or something like that. We picked up 2.6 inches in the last stretch of the weekend, Sunday and Monday, 77 hundredths on Sunday, and then 1.83 on Monday with those storms that came through. We'll discuss those storms in a second. Discussing the drought. We have made great progress. Notice you don't see the deep oranges anymore in the west central part of the state. That's because of the rainfall. We got the pale oranges now. That is the moderate drought. So if that is any indication of any improvement, that's a good sign. Because let me just compare to last week. The deep oranges are now gone. Charles County is kind of out of that drought for the time being. It was the far western tip of Charles County. If you couldn't see there, there's a circle pointing to the improvement. Apologies if you can hear the fan in the background, by the way. I'm recording late. We've been pretty cool at BWI. 7 out of the 10 days so far compared to our averages have been below average. Thursday was no different to the trend. Downtown didn't record because they had problems with their equipment, apparently. They did not have an observation after 9 a.m. Lows in the 60s and 70s. Low to mid 80s pretty much everywhere else across the state for highs, with the exception of higher elevations and closer to the shorelines of the big bodies of water, obviously the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic coastline down the Delmarva. Weather headlines. Warm weekend ahead. Should be rain-free. I'm keeping a 20% chance in there for Saturday and Sunday. Ravens, Eagles should be okay. Knock on wood. We'll see what happens, but that is that. And then we may have another disruptive Monday on our hands. Maybe. We'll have to see what happens with that. I would probably recommend staying close to a source of weather information over the weekend just to be sure about that, because after what happened last Monday, you don't want to take any chances on that. Speaking of last Monday, if the graphics will roll so with the timing of my voiceover, there we go, and we will talk about the Monday event. This was really more of a three-phase event type of deal. Starting with the radar loop, if I can find it to roll here. Come on. You can do it. The power of technology. Great. There we go. Graphics J is on the case here. You can see in the circle. Watches two storms out in the West Virginia Panhandle hit Washington County back to back. These had some large hail with them, and we could have had tornadoes. We dodged a bullet in that regard, even though there were tornado watches. These storms are supercells. The mother of all thunderstorms, produce the largest hail and the strongest tornado activity and sustainability. Thankfully, we avoided that, as I said, but it could have been a lot worse. And by far, in terms of severe thunderstorms, these are the ones you have to watch out for. The most dangerous of all. Phase 2 happens. Carroll County is the prime example of this. You can see here in the northern portion of Carroll County, the supercell moves over the Mason-Dixon, and then you got the Bow Echo moving over. You can see that again. Watch. Wait for it. Wait for it. Try it again. Come on. There, it should pop up, but there's the bow echo graphic there. You can see how it resembles an archer's bow. This is typical with the QLCS thunderstorms, quasi-linear convective systems, a big line of thunderstorms. You get the winds pushing out, and those can be damaging, if not destructive. And when it comes to straight line winds, these are the ones that carry the highest straight line wind threat. And we'll talk about Carroll County in a moment, because safe to say, they got hammered. Anyways, move on from that, and the graphics will allow me to, come on, you can do it. We'll go to phase 3. Delmarva region. Watch Cambridge and Dorchester County along the chop tank. Extended round 1 of the rain, and then another round comes out of Calvert County across the bay, and then another round comes over from the bay again and impacts more or less Talbot County, but you get the point. The training effect that we talked about last week happened here again. This time it wasn't necessarily continuous, it was more or less multiple rounds. It can occur for hours at a time and lead to significant flooding. when you have low-lying areas such as Cambridge along the Choptank River, you're going to have problems with flooding, even the slightest bit of any flooding effect such as training. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, the large hail. The large hail was very significant in Washington County, up to 2 inches in diameter, golf ball to egg-sized hail. We don't see that in the mid-Atlantic or even the state of Maryland for that matter. It's very rare to have that. One report, top left corner of your screen, green triangle in Garrett County, 4-inch hail. Granted, it's higher elevation than Garrett County, but to give perspective, that's softball sized. That's rare to see on the Great Plains with the big supercell thunderstorms and the big updrafts that they do have, let alone mid-Atlantic or the state of Maryland, which is a pretty big deal. In fact, it is about a half inch short, give or take, of the record for the largest hailstone in Maryland history. 4.5 inches. It's been done 3 times. June 23rd, 2015, with the big line of thunderstorms that came down from the north to the south. That was in Louisville. And then it was back on April 28th, 2002, the La Plata tornado. The storm that produced the La Plata tornado produced that large amount of hail in Charles County. And then another round in 1970 in the Sparks, Phoenix, Cockeysville area did the same thing. So really, when we're talking about this is every decade or even every generation. We don't see hail that large all that often. And that is noteworthy within itself. Then we move on to the wind aspect. Carroll County got absolutely hammered. You talk about straight line wind damage. 30 utility poles knocked over along State Route 140 in Westminster. Highly traveled northwest to southeast thoroughfare in the Northwest Metro, getting you from Carroll County towards the state line back down to Metro Baltimore. That's a problem right there with traffic, power lines being down. People were trapped in their cars because obviously you have to worry about the energized lines, water, never a good situation there. And speaking of the power, over half the county, customers, whether it be businesses or households, were without power at one point, and it's still trying to trickle back down in terms of the outages that they have. It was around 5,000 Wednesday night, and as of the time of this recording, it's still around 1,400, just to give you an idea of how bad it was. And then the flash flooding down the Delmarva. Cambridge was hammered. Water rescues. Water was knee to waist deep in some areas. Cars stranded near Salisbury, just off of Route 13. Flash flood emergencies were in effect for the city of Cambridge. It was just awful to deal with. And Metro Baltimore, I will say this: count your blessings. I think some people say the storm was overhyped, but it could have very, very easily gotten worse. That's all I'm going to say about that. And we dodged a big bullet in what was a day of just crappy cornucopia type weather across the state of Maryland. So be glad about that. Moving on, we got a weekend that's going to be okay. However, there is that chance for a scattered shower or thunderstorm activity that we do have to watch out for. Here's the Euro. You can see that scattered activity for Saturday and Sunday. Ravens game should be okay, and then we had the line forming, a more congealed but still scattered line according to the Euro for Monday into Tuesday that could be problematic. GFS is showing a little bit of a different trend. There you can see the storms passing by, and then you have the line that's going to be forming. Wait for it because it has longer frames than the GFS. Forgive me, there's nothing I can do about that in terms of the animation. Watch the rounds of storms roll through. More scattered in nature, less of a congealed line, but yet again, we have to worry about the storm threat. I'm only leaving it at about 40-50% for Monday, but again, nevertheless, you want to be weather aware. Watch versus warning, because I want to discuss this real quick just in case we have to deal with severe weather on Monday, knock on wood. Watch means to do exactly that. Monitor conditions as they will be favorable for given activity in coming hours, whether that be tornadoes, severe weather, flooding, even winter weather when we get to that portion of the year, etc. Watch out for said threat. When we get to warning, it's more serious. The condition that is warned for is already imminent or taking place, and that you need to take immediate action. Whether that be, again, tornado, severe weather in general, flooding, winter weather, etc. Just have that in mind in case we do have to run into storms this weekend. Hopefully we don't, but we'll see what happens. We got our storm chances, and then Monday is going to be the worst chance that we have for storms in terms of the potential potency. I'm very cautious about it. I'm going to call it a weather aware day, but just stay to a source of weather information, okay? Stay to a source of weather information. That's all I ask, because things can change, and the SPC really called out during the weekend. The Storm Prediction Center really called out during last weekend about Monday's threat that happened. So that's all I'm going to say. Once we get to that, we got a nice stretch of weather for the week ahead, for the work week in particular, and then we may have to worry about a chance for showers and storms maybe late next week or the weekend. We'll have to wait and see on the timing, but right now I'm leaving it clear. Forgive the typo that you're probably going to see for the Eastern Shore here momentarily. I have 40% there. I'm really not even calling it 40%. Just take it with a grain of salt. Pretty cool out in Western Maryland, by the way. If you saw that 52 on Wednesday morning, might want to bring a blanket or two if you got that going on there. And then Salisbury, Ocean City, same deal. There you have it. Just be safe, be weather aware, be mindful this weekend in case something happens, and especially on Monday. Just be safe. Have fun. Go Ravens, by the way. If you're heading out to the M&T Bank Stadium, lucky. Take care, be good people, and have a great weekend. And hopefully I'll have the face cam up next week with a working microphone. I'm Jay Mitchell from 410WX.